Three, two, one. Are we live? Are we live? Are we live? We's live. We's live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Fabulites. This is Angela with another edition of Notes on the News on Channel B Fabulous You. Thank you so much for liking, commenting, subscribing, being here, being you, and being fabulous. We're working on 1,000 subscribers, so everything you do is a part of that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Uh, is that everything I say at the beginning? Oh, notes on the news. Hey, Andres. No, hey, Yapa. Notes on the News is my segment where I share with you headlines from my news feed that I have personally selected based on what's interesting to me. And then we may or we may not talk about the headline, the article, the subject matter at large. But as the title says, it's not news, it's just my notes on the news. Okay, I was looking at this article about a Las Vegas a man who came into a mall brandishing a fake gun or something. Did you hear about that? It was last week. This is the first time hearing about it. So I was a little bit like confluzzled, confluxed. There's some word that I can't think of. All right. So let us see. Baragani. What's the Nguzo Saba today? What was the Nguzo Saba yesterday? Was it Kaumba? I think it was Kaumba because the Kaumba has the boom, the Kaum. So what's the principle for today? Good afternoon, Leotis Brown Jr. Let's see what the principle is for today. Kwanzaa principles. So yesterday was creativity, and I want to get back to that page that I like so much. This isn't it, but we'll go with it. Ooh, ooh, ooh. So, in Nguzo Saba, Kwanzaa principle number 7. Oh, day of meditation. Faith. To believe with all of our hearts, not just part of our hearts, but with all of our hearts, in our parents, our teachers, our leaders, our people, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. I love that line, the righteousness of our struggle. The righteousness of our struggle. Faith, Imani, to believe with all our hearts, and our parents, our teachers, we have to add ancestors in there. Our ancestors, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, our people, our children, we have to add in children too, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. Practice Imani every day. Oh, that's a cute little site. They say practice everything every day. Okay. So that's the Nguzo Saba for today. Imani, the righteousness of our struggle. I think that's important for me. I think that's one I need to meditate on. Okay, let's see what the Buddha is saying today. What is the Buddha saying? What the Buddha saying today? This is in Pali. Oh, I wonder if we can hear it in Pali. It seemed like one time I heard it in Pali. Oh, listen. Have you ever heard Pali? Are you familiar with Pali? We've been talking about other languages. Expand to continue. Can we hear it in Pali? I listened once. Oh, it won't play on my phone. Yo, Buddha. Yo, Buddha. What up? What up, though, Buddha? That's how we say in Detroit. What up, though? Nobody really says that anymore. This is the Pali. This is how I'm not even going to try to. Achechi Vatam Biaga Nirasam Visuku. I think that's like a nun or a monk. Sarita na Sadati, or like a student. Chinam Vatam na Vatati. Esivanto Dukasa. One has broken the cycle, attained freedom from desire. The dried up stream no longer flows. The cycle broken no longer turns. Just this, is the end of misery. So it wasn't nun or monk. I don't know what word I thought I saw. Bhikshu, I think is nun or monk. One has broken the cycle, attained freedom from desire. The dried up stream no longer flows. The cycle broken no longer turns. Just this, is the end of misery. So basically, what I hear the Buddha saying is that if the only way to be happy is to not be attached to stuff. Other than that, you're gonna be miserable. If you attach to something, if it has to be a certain way, if you're gonna be miserable. Because the way that I was taught, there are always going to be things that you want to happen that do not happen. And there are always going to be things that you don't want to happen that do happen. So, you can do what you can do, and you can do that, full out, but then that's how life is. That's how life is. Okay. So did anybody hear about that? I'm still in my news feed. I hadn't gotten through it. Many have questions after Black man brandishing fake gun at Las Vegas Mall is charged with terrorism. Have they charged any of these people not only brandishing but shooting real guns with terrorism? Excuse me, that's my first question. I'm eating a banana. A Las Vegas man is accused of committing, let me get into the article because I'm going to have to stop anyway. What's new and good? Habaragani. That's when you say, what was it, Imani? That's when you type Imani. Imani. To believe with all of our hearts in our ancestors, our teachers, our parents, our family, friends, and children, our neighbors, in the righteousness and victory of our struggle. So his name is Emil Hobson, 25, was recently turned down for a job at the mall and reportedly threatened to shoot up the store. Now that just doesn't seem like a good sales pitch to me. Hire me or I'm going to shoot you. That does not seem like a good marketing approach. But anyway, people, I guess, feel that they're under pressure. He's being called a terrorist for showing a weapon, a fake weapon, but the mass killers are not. Wow, really, wow. And this image of him, this is an image of the young man, 25 years old. A Las Vegas man is accused of committing an act of terrorism. Did I say it was a fake gun? It wasn't a real gun. After entering a mall with a fake gun and threatening to shoot. Police arrested him Thursday after witnesses reported seeing a man wearing a green hoodie, a mask, and a rifle walk into Boulevard Mall. Multiple witnesses reported shots fired. Multiple witnesses, peace conscious of genocide, multiple witnesses reported shots fired. So was it like a gun that shoots blanks? Were there shots fired, or was it a fake gun? And said the suspect was pointing his gun at shoppers and employees. I know, kind of like, if you break up with me, I'll kill you. Okay, makes me want to stay with you, right? Like, it's like it's a a bad plan. It's a lose-lose situation when you negotiating like that. Hey, Frank G. The reported threat triggered a full-on multi-assault counterterrorism actions. Oh, wait, the reported threat triggered a full-on multi-assault counterterrorism actions capability, or MACTAC, MACTAC, like a MACTAC. It's a Mac attack, like not a big Mac attack, but like a MACTAC, like, it kind of has that same kind of sound, by police, as several officers were called to the scene. A mall employee who recognized Hobson told authorities he was recently denied a job at the Chic shoe store and threatened to shoot up the store. The suspect was arrested. People are under pressure and and in our our emotion, our critical thinking skills, our emotional maturity. It's like, what is really going on? Um, they cleared them all and determined that no shots were fired. So, okay. The weapon was carrying turned out to be fake. On Monday, the young man was charged with terrorism, making threats, or conveying false information concerning an act of terrorism and burglary while in possession of a deadly weapon. Okay, I think I'm gonna stop with this story and just go on to the next one because it's not really going anywhere. It's not really going anywhere. I don't think we're gonna get any edification. I'm not gonna get any further information. I'm gonna keep going. We get the gist, right? Straight biased, right? Straight BS. You could leave out the IAED. Straight BS. Um, Palestinians demand full ICC investigation into Israeli war crimes. I don't know what an ICC investigation is. Maybe that has something to do with the International something court, maybe. I don't know. International Criminal Court, ICC. What is ICC? Jada Pinkett Smith reveals surprising struggle. Oh, remember I said when I saw that image of her on Red Table Talks and she had her head wrapped, I'm like, oh, she has her head wrapped. She said that she was losing hair, and so she started wrapping her head. Because I'm like, have we ever seen her? I'll Google it real quick. 1 second. Un momento, por favor. Anyone saw the shootout at that Trump hotel? I heard about it a couple days ago, and now I saw a headline saying that they had some imagery from it, and I saw some imagery, and I could see like pale arms, but I couldn't figure out who was shooting who. I didn't like watch enough to like really understand what was going on, but I figured since they shot the person and didn't kill him that he was probably a white guy. Because last week when we talked about it, hey, poetry, how was Cuba? I want to talk to you. Okay, last time when we talked about it, we were like he was mumbling something about Trump International Criminal Court. Was that my guess? He was mumbling something about Trump at a Trump hotel, and I'm like, why he go to the Trump hotel if you gonna go to where he don't be going to the place where he ain't at? Hey, Rowdy Chica. So New York parents sue 30-year-old son who refuses to move out. I once saw this episode of Dr. Phil. This was like years ago, and it was so weird because the child was living with parents, and he was like so hostile and so aggressive, and it was like he was so entitled, and he was safe and sound. He was so it was weird because it's like they kind of doing you a favor. They not out, it was just weird. So I wonder if that's the same guy who they um R. Kelly streams have increased despite Spotify change. So I guess that's good for him. Afraid to leave the nest, huh? Or just feel like he owned the nest, like he a colonizer in his parents' house. He like, you make me go. I ain't going nowhere. I guess. I don't know. Exclusive Airbnb reveals plans to further support, advocate, and protect their Black customers. I think they meant advocate for and protect their Black customers. Oh. Entitled. Is the Trump administration. Okay, wait. I thought Oprah went. Oh, look, I'm talking to y'all before I have the thing. The Griot. Now that the wedding is over, who will get the first interview with Meghan Markle's mom, Doria Ragland? I heard that Oprah Winfrey was in England to get the interview. I thought she had it. I don't know. I'm just looking at the headline. Texas State Trooper. Oh my God. Okay, I think this is going to show up in my news feed already, but I'm just going to read it since it's here. Texas State Trooper accused of raping Black woman after stopping her for suspected DUI. Did you watch the wedding? I saw some footage of it here or there. Ivy watched part of it. So you found your eye patch. Now you're not seeing double. You need to get multiple eye patches. Okay. 12-year-old black boy confronts school board saying he was bullied, kicked, and called the N-word. So I already jumped into the news feed without officially announcing that I was jumping into the news feed, but that's because I had it open. So let us proceed with the notes from the news feed. Proceed. We can continue. See, I'm full of it. You see how that works? Okay. Uh, Peace to you, Leotis. Many have questions after Black. Oh, we talked about that. Why is Norwegian newspaper going after Tidal? That's been my question. What's really going on? But this article kind of talks about the fact that there are attacks on Tidal because they got a new attack on Tidal. Something I don't even remember what it was, but they started after Spotify went public or something. It's like it's corporate espionage. Is that corporate espionage? But it's like they trying to undermine and fight Tidal. Why don't they go after Apple Music? Why don't they go after? Why are they going after Tidal? Because they black. Myanmar Rohingya militants massacred Hindus, says Amnesty. So that was kind of an interesting article. Y'all know I've been trying to follow this whole Rohingya ethnic cleansing story as it unfolds, and it's just been so confusing to me. But this is the first time, and then all of like, just how do you really get information about what's going on? Are they the smallest? I don't know. They might be going after them because they're the smallest, the most vulnerable, and the blackest. I'm assuming Tidal is the smallest. I don't know. I don't stream. Who streams? Does anybody have Tidal? Does anybody have Spotify? Does anybody have Apple Music? What we do? Maybe they're working smallest to largest as a strategy, sort of like the debt snowball of my fake white uncle. What's his name? He's my good close friend who I haven't listened to in years. Dave Ramsey, like the Dave Ramsey debt snowball, smallest to largest. You knock them out, and then you get stronger as you go. So it was interesting to hear Amnesty International, who, I don't know if they're objective or not, but I think of them sort of kind of as objective, reporting that there had been, violence on both sides, although I think it's totally disproportionate. Yes, like a step-by-step detox. So, and then the other thing that was interesting is that because reporters were kept out of certain places, it's sort of like you can't really get the whole story. So again, this whole idea of journalism, like I guess when you have journalists going to a place, they're going to look and see and ask questions and notice things and report things that maybe you don't want reported. So it's like, keeping journalists out as a strategy. It's sort of like, I guess, a nefarious strategy. It's a way to not keep certain information, from getting out. But Amnesty said that they interviewed people who had been, who had witnessed. And then that's the other thing, like, how do you document what has happened and that something has happened? Now, what Amnesty International said they did is they interviewed people who witnessed the massacre. So there were, I feel that that mainstream journalism is dead. So they interviewed, like they said that, people who say that they saw, 43, this person got killed, this person, there were 43. It was like a high number of children. I don't want to say 43 children because when I first saw the thing, I'm like, well, why do they have this image on there of these three people? Myanmar Rohingya militants massacred Hindus, says Amnesty. So killing 20 men, 10 women, 23 children, 14 of whom were under the age of 8. And I still just can't seem to wrap my head around, I don't know, like, here's a child and I'm just going to kill them. Or I don't know, Angolan War for Independence, Luanda attacks of 1961. So we've been talking, there's no such obvious bias. There's no way to believe what is being told. The best info comes from social media right now, though we have to be careful with even that. Yeah. Yeah, and you have, I think, again, that goes back to like our critical thinking and analytical skills. We have to look at who's telling us the story, who, like, follow the money, what's their perspective, like you kind of have to ask questions about who's giving you the information and what their agenda is with giving you the information. But anyway, we've been talking about, revolutionaries and the history of revolution and how, that's just how people do it. I get all my news from the family, exactly. During the Byaxa Day, Kasanje, and UPA revolts in early 1961, there was another conflict that February in the 1961 Luanda attacks. I'd never heard of the Luanda attacks. Luanda sound like it could be somebody's name. Hey girl, what's up, Luanda? What you up to? I don't know if I know anybody named Luanda, but it sounds like a black girl from down the road. The assaults in Luanda in 1961 saw black guerrilla forces take over several military and police buildings in a bid to release political prisoners. So, political prisoners. The other part of their plan didn't come together as intended. Guerrillas were to take over the national airport, the state broadcast station, and other government buildings. So they had a plan. Look, we're going to go in here and, get these people out of prison. Y'all take over the state, the news, the broadcast station, so we can control what word gets out. You take over the national airport so we can control who gets in and out of the country and other government buildings. Initially armed with machetes, the liberation forces were able to take out a police vehicle and gain firearms. The ambitious yeah. And that the whole thing about like mainstream media is sort of like mainstream healthcare. So like if you have like a crisis, a lot of people are like it's good for diagnosis, but if you really want to know what to do, you can't count on the doctor to tell you what to do because the doctor gonna tell you to do surgery and take drugs. You got to somehow take they can point you in the direction, but then you gotta get outside of their system, or you're gonna be caught up in the mess and the confusion, which is mainstream media or whatever these corporations, whatever their agendas are. Usually it's not for, are you leaving? I gotta head to the plantation. I'll see y'all later. Love and Black Power. You ain't on no plantation. You free, at least here. Don't go to the plantation. Stay free here. Stay free. um, In all, less than 10 officers and soldiers were killed, while the guerrillas suffered greater losses, according to media reports. Because of the People's Movement for the Liberation of Angola claimed responsibility for the assault. The exact details are split between the media interpretation of the event and the MPLA. So again, that's talking about trying to understand what's going on. You hearing different stories, and how do you figure out in truth, I don't know if there is a truth, because of course, truth depends on your perspective. From my perspective, the truth is X, Y, and Z, and your perspective may be totally different. The following state saw a funeral held for the police killed in the assault. The same day, riots of disputable origin erupted. Some believe that white citizens started the violence by targeting the Musée case, mostly black slums around Luanda. The anti-Portuguese interpretation continues with there being a massacre of several hundred black citizens from the slums. The other interpretation was that 19 people were killed and the riot started when the shots occurred near the funeral. A second attack on the jail was attempted the following week, but ultimately failed. I had never heard of Luanda. So the Angolan War for Independence, 1961. I was just curious. I don't, I guess as we were talking about the media and distrust of mainstream media, but I mean, I feel like even when I listen to us, I've always taken the mainstream media with a grain of salt. When they're like, I'm totally unbiased and I'm just reporting the facts. I'm like, BS, that ain't even, I mean, everybody is biased. Everybody has an agenda and a perspective and a worldview. So I never believed that anyway. But that piece in this article was interesting because we were just talking about it. So they're telling us two different versions of the story. American women detained by Border Patrol for speaking Spanish at gas station. And it kind of made me think about, like, when you were enslaved and you couldn't, you might have known how to read, but you couldn't let the people know you knew how to read? Are we gonna have to be like, shh, habla español, pero no telling nobody? You know what I mean? Like, they arresting people for speaking Spanish, like, so that's a crime. They detaining people and deporting people. Um, this article says American women, it's coming off the griot. I don't know if they were black women. I don't know what the situation is. I'm not biased. I know that there are always two ways of seeing things: my way and the wrong way. Video shows cops giving strange order to detain motorists. So I looked at the article, enough to know that the strange order was pretend like we're shoot you. So it sounds kind of like they're like, I guess for the cops in this particular case, and probably a lot of cases, it's just like all fun and games. Like, hey, act like I'm gonna rape you. And you're like, like just the foolishness, the disrespect, the ignorance, the immaturity, the stupidity, the anti-humanity, like just and again, video, like if there's one video, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Hey, love like the sun. If there's one video, that's just the tip of the iceberg. So that's like, I've just assumed that's common practice. People who have a little bit of power or feel like they have power over you, and then they just act crazy and cruel and inhumane. So that's like probably standard operating procedure. Salesforce donates 1.5 million to fight the San Francisco homelessness problem. Mass killings in Darfur. I missed the whole thing. Salesforce donates 1.5 million to fight the San Francisco homelessness problem. Hey, how are you today, Mr. Kendrick Lamar? Hey, anytime I hear about mass killings, I think about what happens in Darfur. I still need to study more to see exactly what it was all about. What happened in Darfur. Yeah. And the CEO, Mark Benioff, is matching it. So I guess they over there. I don't know why I'm so interested in the San Francisco housing crisis. And so what is $3 million going to mean? Are they going to like pay that to buy housing and then sell it to people cheap? Are they going to pay that to defer people's rent for a certain amount of time? I'm glad you're good. What are they going to construct low income, moderate income housing? I mean, it's so crowded there. Where they're going to construct housing at? I don't know. I haven't been there in years, but I mean, it seemed crowded when I was there. Arrest records of Rosa Parks, MLK, to be preserved and digitized. Photographing while black. 3 million is a drop in the bucket. Yeah. White woman calls police on black photographer during Preakness Stakes for taking pictures. The 15 U.S. cities where it's easiest to live without a car. Do you drive? Do you have a car in your city? Do you have to have a car in your city to get around and survive? That's one of the things I liked about New York, not having to have a car. Now, I hear that the subway system is so jacked up now that I don't really know, but I like being able to read and get to where I was going at the same time. TSA is keeping a secret list of passengers who misbehave at airport security. So what are they doing with the list? So like misbehaving may be like you swat somebody's hand away, like they go to pat you down and be like, don't touch me, or according to them. Or it could be like if you're lurking around suspiciously, that might put you on the list. What they doing with the list? Collecting the list for what? Samantha doesn't like going around town. She gets nervous. Photo taking while black. Yes, being while black. It's actually the natural conclusion of, our whole experience here. We've always just been harassed and attacked for being black. You know what I mean? So yeah. He's a photographer. He's a credentialed photographer. I don't know what the Preakness Stakes is. Is that what it's called? But it sounds like Preakness. It seems like I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is. But it's like probably an official event. He's just taking pictures. Okay, so I don't know what TSA is doing. That seems like some more, you know, Big Brother stuff. Detroit tea maker Ellis Island Teas inks huge deal with Sam's Club. Have y'all ever heard of Ellis Island Tea? I've heard of it, but I've never had it. The business is around this way. Tibet activists jailed in China over language campaign. Now this was really interesting to me because when we were punished for speaking our languages or trying to keep our languages alive, native folks. Why won't my link hit? It's like I keep hitting it and nothing is happening. Native folks were, like they take the children away and send them to a horse derby. Oh, they would send them to boarding schools and to be adopted. And if you spoke your native language, they beat you or whatever. It was like don't speak the language. Like language and the connection with culture is really really important. So a Tibetan activist has been jailed for 5 years in China for inciting separatism after he spoke to the New York Times about efforts to preserve his native language. So it's just interesting to see that, like you would just think, oh, like the power of language is really is interesting, and I guess that like links back to earlier when we were talking about the women being arrested for speaking Spanish. It's like it's interesting. It's something that you think of as harmless. Like just how under attack it can be, and so then it kind of brings your attention to it. Like, well, what's really going on here? What's the real issue? Senators asked the FCC to investigate fake net neutrality comments. So it was like both a Democratic senator and a Republican senator, I believe. And I think it was just two. But I don't know if you remember when the whole vote with net neutrality was going down, and the Indian guy who runs the committee was like, "We going forward with the vote," and people were like, "Wait, hold on! It's been a whole bunch of fake." Stuff that of the 1 million comments or the 2 million comments that were submitted, we're finding out that some of them are fake. Let's slow this process down so we can figure out what was going on. And homeboy was like, no, we go forward, we vote. It was a 3-2 split, but they won. But it was like it seemed to be rushed through, and with total disregard to the fact that dead people had made statements. I'm new here. Oh, you're new here? That's my mother. About 20 years ago, she was in a one woman show that her husband had written, and that was like the photo shoot for the program or something like that. So it's like a whole bunch of pictures of her. But to me, it means my mama got my back and my people got my back. Like she, represent the people. Please hit the thumbs up button if you haven't already. Okay. So it's very distracting though to people. I notice. I'm thinking, yeah, but that's a whole nother conversation. So the senators are like, we need to investigate this. Somehow this whole net neutrality thing has moved over into Senate or Congress or something like that. I'm so that it can be overturned or investigated, or there's something else going on, like the net neutrality thing is not exactly dead, or it might be able to be resurrected and there's some work. It's not distracting, it's art. But it's like a conversation. It's not like an obvious, like maybe one day when I have like a logo, I'll be able to like, I don't know. And then plus we try to like put like little thumbnails together. It's a hot mess, all that black and white. It's a mess. It's a mess. It's a embassy over rainbow flag on day against homophobia. So I guess we're in the other country. So I guess they it's like cultural clashes are bound to happen. But what it brings up for me is being on these lives, and I guess like we're sort of kind of part of a community, all of us, right? And so you hear different people's takes on things and different people's perspectives on things, and I'm not one. It's not distracting at all. The entire setting is very organic and welcoming, very inviting, also fitting for your content. Thanks. I never remembered about the thumbs up. And so it's sort of like, I think my take on, homosexuality is very different from a lot of what I hear other people saying. But then on other people's platforms, like, in other people's houses, like, I'm probably not going to like argue or bicker or fight. And I'm probably not going to fight and argue and bicker in my house. Like, if somebody said something like, I hate all gay people, I'd be like, I disagree. Like, I'm not really one to argue and bicker and fight. But just this whole, to me personally, I just feel very, um I guess I feel like, as a black person, as a woman, like, I know what it's like to be on the bottom of a hierarchy and to be attacked. And so I feel particularly sensitive about attacking other people on the bottom of the hierarchy. And it's just like, I'm not a fan of it, in my house and somebody else's house. And I know everybody has their take. And I also try to be receptive, because sometimes I feel like I have, my perspective on things has changed. I don't know, you know, so, and I try not to ever say I would never believe X, Y, and Z. I don't know, I don't think I'm going to wake up tomorrow and be like, I hate blackness. I hate being black. I want to be white, but I don't know. I mean, I just feel like I would hope that, what would Jesus do on the issue of homosexuality? I don't know. I'm not overly familiar with, but I hope that however I wake up in the morning, whatever God instructs, that I'm receptive to God's guidance, So if it's something that's different from what I thought, but I guess my impression of Jesus, the historical figure, or Jesus, the symbolic metaphoric figure, is that, the idea and the concept is about love, and acceptance. But, I don't know enough to even engage in that conversation, really even casually, so, but I think the whole thing of like, this is my land, but it's your land. I don't fight either. Why should I fight when I know I'm always right? Just kidding. I'm not always right. There was that one time in 1967, if memory serves. But like being on somebody else's land, but then you're in your land, like, it's sort of like when I'm on somebody else's live, I'm on their land, so, but I have seen some stuff. Like the other day I was watching, I think I couldn't really exactly figure out what was going on, but I saw somebody get timed out. I'm a moderator on that live. And then the next thing I knew, they were gone. And I'm like, I think this is the same person who I saw someplace else saying that she had a brother who, so it was just kind of like, I couldn't exactly figure out what was going on. And I also felt like I didn't really know, like, I feel like, as a black person, I would hope that I would stand up for, like, if I saw a black person being abused, I hope that I would be the person who would stand up. Nope, I was right then. Who would, like, but it's just kind of like, I don't know. Sometimes it just brings up for me that it's kind of confusing, when to speak and when not to speak. And then I feel like, I just have to honor my truth. Like, I feel like I ain't trying to fight. Yeah, I just have to say what I believe. So, Danish minister, somebody provokes Ramadan row. So this day, Ramadan is going on now. I guess I sort of feel like somebody mentioned it the other day, and I saw some article about should children participate in Ramadan. So I guess, so she's saying, look, when Ramadan is going on, y'all Muslims, you need to take off of work. You can't be working when you're not eating for 18 hours a day. You're putting everybody's safety at risk. But statistically, I guess in this country, people have been, participating in Ramadan for a long time. And there's no indication that, there are more, like, if you're a bus driver and you're honoring Ramadan, then you crash more. There's like no evidence to support her statement. And I guess it kind of made me think, like, I've done cleanses and all kinds of things in my personal life, and I've gone to work at the same time. So I don't know. An 18-hour fast could affect safety, but it seems like just part of, I guess there's like a general attack in the world. It just seemed like it's a lot of fightation going on in the world, like people just fighting and attacking. Is this, I guess this is always, has this always been the way of the world? Can't we all just get along? Right. Was she giving out paid vacation? Vacation? No. I think it felt like kind of harassment to me. Like, I feel like it would be a valid conversation if it's like, look, my Muslim brothers and sisters, every year during Ramadan, the incidence of accidents on that, I feel like if we're having that type of conversation, sometimes you got to have hard conversations. But and yeah, okay. Elon Musk funded X Prize expands education software testing. I don't know what that was. I'm gonna skip that. Panama says new evidence shows 1994 plane crash was a terrorist incident. 1994. Now y'all know I've been like fascinated by all of these plane crashes and helicopter crashes, and I'm like, are they being hacked? Is this like a attacks? Are the people getting secret messages behind the scenes that we don't know about, that don't show up in the stories, that are like, you better do, I told you to do what I said to do, or we was gonna play, like, because wasn't Zero's son, and hey, Poetry Zero, I know you've moved on to something else, you got another name for him, but I stuck with Zero. But wasn't there something with his people who were in a helicopter crash or something? So anyway, this happened back in 1994. That's like that's more than 20 years ago. So and now they're coming out with new evidence showing that that was a terrorist incident. But at the time, it was just like, oh, it was a crash. Now all of a sudden it's a terror. So all of this stuff that we're like, oh, it's just a crash. I suspect that we're going to be coming in here and that it was more to the question, self-driving cars and people being able to hack them and make them crash. He's still Zero, but I call him Dumb Donald too. We should just have a dum-dum we hold up like a lollipop. Don't even say nothing. First black male valedictorian at Morgan High rises above racism to achieve academic success. So I guess, I don't know, Morgan High, I guess, is some school where they've never had a black person as valedictorian, and the first male, I guess I'll pull his name up and say his name. We got to clap for something today. So that's already 6. Let's say his name so we can clap for him. We got to have something to celebrate, right? 9 die as Tuticorin sterilite copper protest turns violent. Oh, that was in India. So I don't know what the people were protesting, but now 9 people have made their transition. And I don't know if the corporation shot the people. I don't know if I fell in love with Zero. I don't know if I don't know what happened. I don't know if the cops shot the people. Oh, look at the baby. He all smiling. Little cutie patootie. It's not even loading up. Oh, look. Oh, he looked like he graduating or something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we'll give him 8 times 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Okay. 17-year-old, despite the bullying he faced from peers, his Austin Elliott. So congratulations, Mr. Austin Elliott. Continue to go out and make your family and your community proud, and use your brains to fight for your people and for freedom and for truth, dignity, honor, and respect. Elliott said he wanted to be all the way real about his school experience to inspire other students who may be dealing with the same adversities. I was bullied by a very few. If only I were 10 years younger. As most of it was racial. So he's going to the University of Alabama in Huntsville. Is that a HBCU? He never came to school upset and took his education very seriously. So I guess this must be his white friend, I'm guessing. We asked the students, we were just talking about this yesterday with Kaumba, to leave the school better than they find it. Austin has certainly done his part and more. Okay. 4.5 grade point average. They considered transferring him from the school. We are one school, one student body, and one community, regardless of skin color or anything else, said Elliott. I've had some good experiences at West Morgan. Okay, well, okay. Continue to learn and grow and pay attention and hone your critical thinking skills, young man. You'll figure it out. um, Mass school shootings mostly happen in small town and suburban America. Initially the propaganda is like, oh, the urban places are the black places are the problem. So that's coming off of Atlanta Black Star. The death of Prime Minister Patrice Lumumba. The death, part one and part two. I've heard the name Patrice Lumumba. One of my favorite poems is like, it's like Patrice Lumumba, who was inconvenient to the CIA. I still have Alexa and Samantha. Africa in 1961. We were talking about 1961 Angola with the Luanda. Oh, here they are. Look. Was undergoing a number of often violent political changes in Angola. Independence from Portugal was ongoing. Meanwhile, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, which we talked about a couple days ago as a country, infighting would then come to an end with the execution or assassination of Prime Minister Patrice Lumumba and his two close associates. I have barbecue Becky. Lead up to executions. The Democratic Republic of Congo was formed in 1960 with independence being declared that January and elections occurring in May, with office holders announced the following month. Patrice Lumumba was declared prime minister and Joseph Kasavubu, that name sounds familiar, was made president of the DRC. A number of changes by Lumumba caused some dissent in different groups. First, there was the Force Publique, which didn't get pay raises. I guess that's like the public workers. This sparked a mutiny in July 1960, which was eventually ended with the Africanization of the military and all European troops being released. So maybe the public service folks were white, and so they had a mutiny, and so they like, okay, all of our people about to be black. They're gonna be African. We're not gonna have all the European troops. Y'all released. Things snowballed. We were talking about snowballs earlier, with Belgium sending in 6,000 troops. Now we know that Belgium, King Leopold is associated with Belgium. King Leopold, we need a name. We can't be calling him King because King sounds like dignified and like King. We need like a something else to call him. But he was someone who tortured, and there was something having to do with like rubber plants, and they were cutting off people's arms, and all kinds of brutality and craziness and cruelty. And it almost seemed like it was like his personal torture chamber, he felt. That's the impression I got. He sent in 6,000 troops to the Congo to protect Belgian citizens. This led to a number of hostile actions and to further conflict between the two countries. The Cold War also made things difficult. Ahole. Ooh, is that a German word for something like asshole? But that's not even really strong, because somebody could be a butthole just for saying something like, you're a butthole. But that's not the same as like being a torturer and a murderer and a thief. And I mean, the Cold War also made things difficult for the DRC as it attempted to remain neutral but needed assistance to move development along. A blunder in South Kasai would result in several massacres. Receiving help from Russia and threatening the US and UN with further dealing with Russia put a strain on foreign relations. Despite some international flexing and governing failures, PM Patrice Lumumba had a number of supports. President Kasavubu had growing concerns that a coup could occur and declared that Lumumba and several governing ministers were now removed from their duties. He was concerned that Lumumba was about to get him, so he got Lumumba first. And I wonder if that was like a genuine thing, or if it's like just like there was COINTELPRO in this country where they're like, what was going on was dissension being stirred up or created or magnified or amplified to undermine, the unification of black folks. This resulted in Lumumba taking to the airwaves, announcing Kasavubu as a traitor to the Democratic Republic of Congo. So he got on the airwaves, the media, the journal, and said he's traitor. Both the president and the PM dismissed the other as traitors to the country, leading to a debate in parliament. While he won the debate, he couldn't get the votes to remove Kasavubu from power. He was to stay in house arrest until November, when he managed to escape. Poem about my rights. That's my favorite poem. I never knew anything about Patrice Lumumba. So they having debates. He won the debate, but he still had to, the man stayed under house arrest. The other man, Kusavubu, stayed under house arrest. Is this Patrice Lumumba? You can't really see it good because it's got writing over his face. While he was held under house arrest for some time in September, along with Kasavubu, Lumumba and others would escape. The house arrest was initiated by the UN to keep the Chief of Staff, Colonel Joseph Mobutu, from arresting them. There was fear that he would be dispatched under suspicious circumstances. He arrived in Leopoldville, where he sought to establish a base of power to retake Congo from Mobutu in a joint effort by Mobutu, the U.S., and Belgium. So you figure Mobutu is probably an enemy if he collaborating with the U.S. and Belgium. Lumumba was captured December 1 in Lodi. Assassination or execution. He and two close associates, Maurice Mpolo and Joseph Okito, were declared traitors and were to be tried for instigating riots. He was viewed as polarizing and caused rifts between troops. Lumumba and others were sent to Katanga to be held, but were tortured. They were lined up and shot on January 17, 1961, not too long before 10 p.m. The death of Patrice Lumumba straddles the line between execution and assassination. Probably about 2 weeks ago, I was like, I need to look up, I need to get clarity between the difference, if there is. It was certainly state sanctioned. So execution is probably state sanctioned. But the events leading up to it put it squarely in the assassination territory. He was moved to an entirely different country, or rather a breakaway state, in the midst of a coup that saw others benefit from his removal and death in the Congo. There were several interested foreign powers involved in the execution/assassination of Patrice Lumumba. Belgium officials were present and had concerns about their involvement and the optics of it. It would later be revealed that the execution was handled by Belgium and not Katanga. Belgium also pointed out that the CIA had several plans to assassinate the former prime minister. So that again loops me back around to this whole conversation. Like, watching the news sometimes, it's like you have that double consciousness. Like, I was laughing this morning because, they're like, hey, yesterday, maybe this morning on The View, they said the first woman, reasons motivating the act, AHO. Oh, Aho. It's not even another language. It's just English. But on The View, they were like, oh, the first woman has been, elected or appointed to the head of the CIA, the one who's, whether she thought torture was right or wrong. So it's like, am I clapping for that? No, I'm not clapping for that. And then, I think it might be in my newsfeed today too. Another woman became the first person to run, the first woman in the 236-year history, I think it is, of the Wall Street to run the not Wall Street, but the exchange, like the New York Stock Exchange or whatever. And so it's sort of like in the New York Stock Exchange, I hear, the first things traded on the stock exchange were me and my people. So why do I care? Why is that even? But it's like that double consciousness where you're like, oh, I can't believe that Zero is saying something bad about the CIA. And then I'm like, fuck the CIA. The CIA ain't done nothing for me or my people. Why do he could say something bad? Like, and that goes back to this whole conversation where people are like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And I'm like, no, it's not. Just because Trump's enemy right now is the CIA don't mean the CIA ain't no friend of mine. Ain't never been for me or my people. Never. So anyway, yeah, this whole thing makes me want to read Poem About My Rights. by June Jordan. It's my favorite poem in the whole wide world. I'm telling, ooh, I'm telling. What was our what's the Nguzo Saba for today? I need some sage in here. Let's reset the energy. What was the Nguzo Saba for today? Believe in the righteousness, Imani, faith. Yeah, I need to pray and meditate. Okay. So that was our it might even be like the Al-Kebalan conversation, because how much time we got? Here we are. Father takes hail of bullets to protect daughter on wedding day, police say. I don't know why we trust anything and know it's going to turn on me. Yeah, well, we have to trust something, but we have to be selective in who and what we trust and who and what we believe in. And, I don't think that just because the mainstream media or the mainstream culture or, the regular propaganda out there is not for us, even though, it's hard because I've grown up in such a way that, like stuff just comes at you all the time that's part of the propaganda. And so you're like, oh, you just you don't even realize you've internalized certain beliefs that are like anti-you, and sometimes you don't even realize this stuff is anti-you. You have to do a little bit of digging, be like, wait a second. This is against me. Like, my mother was talking about watching the Cowboys and the Indians, and you'd be like, and I can't remember, I don't know if I've ever seen any Cowboys and Indians, but it's like, it's hard to tell who's good and evil. Yeah, sometimes it feels like that. And I think that's where prayer and meditation and just, continued study works. You begin to be able to discern certain things, and to trust your discernment. And, but I think that we have to be diligent and we have to apply ourselves to it because it's important. I don't think we can be lazy and rely on someone else to do the research for us. I don't think that we can be lazy and rely on someone else to do the analysis for us. We have to, train I think we have to do a lot more work on our ability to analyze, to think critically and to analyze what's going on and to see through and to ask questions and the right questions. And, I think there's like a culture of the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, why. Who, what, when, where, why. And H, how? I don't know. Maybe. But I think we need to, critical. Yeah. Yeah. And I notice, I know a lot of times, when I go, when I'm watching TV and I'm like, well, why is this happening? And if I'm with other people, they're looking at me like, would you shut up and watch the show? And it's like, I protest that. I have to, I can't just passively sit and let the programming just wash over me. Sometimes you find yourself doing that. And then I'm like, okay, hold on a second. Wait, what's going on? Why is that happening? What's, because I gotta fight for my life. If not me, who? Ain't nobody else, So it's a sad story because I think the father made his transition, and I don't know who was. I think in this case, the an ex was firing at somebody. What you said, the first thing we must do is look at the source of the info and what their agenda is, and what would be the benefit to them, And also, I think, and that's I think that there are patterns to things, I think that, if you understand certain principles, you can begin to without even knowing the details, if you understand the principles of certain things, you can analyze, you can do a broad-based analysis. In general, if you know anything about the history of this country and the foundation of this country, there's a lot of things that you don't even have to get into the details of. And you can be like, you can just 9 times out of 10, it's going to be anti-Black. Yeah. Well, it's good that you have a channel, because I feel like the only people that, I think that it's true. Because one thing about, I was thinking about it the other day, like, I guess now that I've had this experience, I had never had the experience of like the whole digital world. Who I know is against me, that must be taken into consideration. Most of us don't even realize that we have an enemy. We think they're our friend. Not only do we not realize that we have an enemy, but we think that this person is our friend. And that's like intense. But I want to talk about also this thing of building relationships and building trust and connecting. And, my experience of being on YouTube is sort of like before I was kind of like, so people are out here marrying people that they met on the internet? Like, how to even know the people? Like, you can't see the people, you can't. And it just always seemed like really foolish to me. And now it's like I'm realizing, like, I understand it in a way I didn't before. And so I have to have conversations with myself, like, just because I see somebody's video don't mean I know them. Just because, even if somebody is on the video thing for 3 hours a day or 10 hours a day, you don't know who that person is. You don't know. And somebody can get on and say anything. I'm an actress. I could get on and, um, yeah, face to face, all, but like, now that I've had the experience personally, it's like, it's very, like, I've noticed that I start to feel familiar with people, and like I know people, and it's like bung bung bung, wait, you don't know, like, you just have to, like, it's I understand it now in a way I didn't have any frame of reference for it before. And now, I'm having more and more, or the Bachelor TV shows. Now, I think that arranged marriages are different, theoretically, because arranged marriages, in as I understand it, we're in a cultural context and in a family and community context. So I might not specifically know the person, but there's someone in my family, in my community, like, there's a communal context. Whereas when I'm meeting someone on the internet, I don't have any context for that person. Like, even, in, like, when I, like, dating in Detroit, when I've dated before, I remember, like, the person who I'm married to, when I met him, someone that I knew is like, oh, I know that Baba. His children went to the Shule, and he was always involved. He was the parent who came to parent teacher conferences. I know that Baba. Like, I know his children. So there was like a frame of reference, even though I personally didn't know him. And then other people are like, oh, I took yoga with him. There was like a community context. So I could get information about him, not from my personal experience, but also there was like communal information. Even my first husband, I did not know him, but he had worked in a program that other people that I knew, and he had worked in it for several years. And so there was a frame of reference, whereas I don't know nothing about y'all. You know what I mean? Now, I have heard, I've asked this question, and some people, like, know each other, and they just all happen to have YouTube pages or decided to. But yeah, I think that, I think there's a process of, like, getting to know people, connecting with people, building trust and relationships, and it can't happen, not anything real, it's no way for it to happen. Someone on YouTube, marry her on YouTube, have a relationship on YouTube, and get divorced on YouTube. You remember that movie? That was one of my favorite movies, where the child was born on the TV and he didn't know he was on a TV show. Jim Carrey, who I've seen him in movies, and he's really weird, but he's actually a talented artist. Maybe has some little digital children. um, Okay, so police say the father of a pregnant Philadelphia woman put his life in jeopardy when he jumped in front of gunfire to save his daughter on her wedding day. The Truman Show. I thought that was a really interesting film. The woman was shot twice, but thanks to her 70-year-old dad, Frederick Waring's heroic act of blocking her, the woman and her twin babies had their lives spared. Hey, August Dreams. So the young woman was 23. I don't want anybody getting shot, but I love that the daddy, he's like saving his baby and his grandbabies, like, I love those kind of stories. It's a video on here, there's no image. But I guess we have some hand claps for Frederick Waring. He got 33. That's how many it was, because he saved his daughter and his twin babies. No one should ever have to be in such a position. Very sad. And then the thing is that I think that this is a situation where it was like an ex or something, like somebody who, like some hateration type situation. So that's very sad, because like that ain't even necessary. I mean, I guess the people who are doing it feel like it's necessary for whatever reason, but y'all, we got to move on. We can't be out here shooting and killing people or trying to kill people standing ovation. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, shoot. What did she erase? I missed it. Dang. I had a troll attack last night. 2 people. Some of y'all were here. Okay, so anyway. Yeah. U.S. lawmakers demand answers from Uber about sexual assaults. So basically, between Uber, Lyft, and some other company, I think there have been 103 like rape accusations. I don't know what time period. Let's just say in the year. But it's still, that number is confusing to me, because I feel like, well, how many Lyft drivers are there, and what percentage of the, like, if it's like 2% of the Lyft population has been accused of rape and 2% of the general population has been accused of rape, then it seems like it's just, but if it's like 80% of the Lyft population and Uber population has been accused of rape and 2%, then I feel like it's a conversation. So I don't appreciate, like, I feel like I need more of a frame of reference. Like, I don't under some stories, I feel like I don't see what's your point. Sometimes when I'm typing, it'll like just hit the send, like, I guess because it's a touch screen, you touch the wrong thing and it just gets sent. So sometimes I feel like, I try not to feel too deeply embarrassed by the typos and stuff. That goes to show, if they will troll you, then anyone can be trolled. Your channel is very positive and high vibration. I don't think that the trolling well, I don't know. I mean, I guess different people have different, I just think they're crazy. Because you figure, if you don't like something, just don't go on that channel. Like, why am I going to take my time and energy to go on somebody's channel and be like, I hate you, you're ugly? Like, or even like in real life, people do that in real life. They'll see like a woman and be like, you're fat. Like, who does that? Like, why would you, or like you would yell out the window, NIGGER. Like, why don't you just save your breath? Like, yeah, that's true. Exactly. It can happen to anyone because they're crazy. I thought it was funny because there was like a strategy in place, and I don't know, did I create it? Some people have more time, more disposable income, more disposable time, more disposable income for like foolishness. And some of us, who want to spend your time on that? Louisiana man convicted at 16, ordered free after staggering evidence of his innocence was withheld. I don't know if y'all can see this, but this picture and this is just so poignant. Like, I know it wasn't a photographer, but like this picture just tells a whole story about an innocent 16-year-old railroaded. Like, look at his profile, look at his eyes, look at his face. Like, just look at that child. Look at how young he is. Pizza delivery man's killings 2 decades ago. I think this is a different story. It seems like we had another story about a woman who a plea deal would allow Corey Williams to be freed possibly later Tuesday. Let's see if he was tried as an adult. Somebody pleaded guilty to manslaughter and obstruction of justice after prosecutors. The deal comes several weeks after Williams' attorney asked the U.S. Supreme Court to review the case and reverse his 2000 murder conviction. A group of 44 former prosecutors and Justice Department Williams, now 36, was an intellectually disabled 16-year-old when police arrested him. Um, in January 1998 of the shooting death, who was killed and robbed. No one can give him his time back. He was hospitalized. Before the shooting, he was hospitalized for extreme lead poisoning, still sucked his thumb, and frequently urinated on himself. There wasn't any physical evidence linking him to the killing. Witnesses saw several older men steal money and pizza from Griffin and saw him running from the house with nothing in his hands. Fingerprints found on the murder weapon belonged to one of the older men. Right. That's just what I was saying. I thought it was a whole difference. And now that I'm looking at it, I think this is a different story from the one that I thought it was. They found him hiding under a sheet on a couch of his grandmother's house. I still can't tell if he was convicted as an adult. Ooh, my head is hurting. It's giving me a headache, I think. I don't know. But it's coming off of Atlanta Black Star. So if you want to follow up and actually read the story. A regional grocery chain called Publix. They don't have that in, but I've heard of Publix. I don't know if I've ever been there. It's so many of these stories we can't even keep up with them. And you like, oh, that's that same story I already talked about, and it's a totally different story. It's like a totally different person and a totally different life. A regional grocery, how do you say summa cum laude? Summa cum laude. Summa cum laude. A regional grocery chain censored summa cum laude on a $70 graduation cake due to profanity. So they went, the child is graduating at the top of their class. They doing well. We gonna get us a cake from the Publix to celebrate. And we wanted to say summa cum laude on it. So they go to the store, they order the cake. I guess they pay for it and everything. When the cake come, it says summa dash 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 laude. Because the computer system flagged come as a profanity, and it's like, we not printing that. The computer, I don't know how to pronounce it, but the computer needs to, first of all, I don't know how the computer is making decisions, and no person, no human being is like looking over it, and if there's something that like that's profanity, why they're not checking it. Second of all, I don't know why that Latin phrase was not coded into their system so that, it's in the context, third of all, I don't know why when I went to pay for the cake, you didn't tell me I can't print that on the cake. I can't print your cake the way that you want your cake printed. You got to go someplace else. Because I'm sure they took a deposit, some money, something. But anyway. Black man, there's probably more, but I'm going to go on. Black man who was arrested for idling car won't face charges. Eagle Creek fire, Oregon judge orders boy to pay $36 million. I never heard about the Eagle Creek fire. Did you hear about the Eagle Creek fire? I never heard about it. The child done threw a firecracker, it sound like, into some canyon and just created all kinds of havoc. And when I was a child, I never heard of it. So when I was like 16 or 17, some little kids were trick-or-treating or playing with, not trick-or-treating, they might have been trick-or-treating, I don't know, because in my head it's associated with Halloween, but they were playing with like the things you do on the 4th of July to make explosions. And so in my grandmother's house, there's the mailbox goes into one of the rooms in the house. So they put the explosive in through the mail slot. There was curtains hanging over the mail slot. It caught fire, and firework, right? It caught fire. And I mean, it didn't end up, being a big deal, but it could have been a big deal. But you know how like little kids, they're like, I wonder what'll happen if I do this. Like they just, I don't want to say dumb, but ignorant and foolish. They don't have any, foresight or wisdom hardly. They don't know. The child has to write apology notes to 152 people who were trapped on hiking trails by the conflagration. Conflagration. Little kids are like pyromaniacs. A judge ordered a teenager to pay more than $36 million after he admitted starting a huge forest fire that raged for months in the U.S. state of Oregon. So it raged for months, but we never heard of it. I thought it was, I misunderstood the question. The fire burned for nearly 3 months on the scenic Columbia River Gorge, destroying several homes. It engulfed 48,000 acres and cost fire crews $18 million to fight. So all because, you know, he was just reckless burning. He pleaded guilty to 8 counts of reckless burning of public and private property, 2 counts. I wonder how old the boy was. Is it like a 12-year-old boy or is it like an 18-year-old boy? We were referring to railroaded black people. He was ordered to serve 5 years of probation and perform 1,920 hours of community service. So anyway, I thought it sounded like such a big deal for like in that context for us to. I've never heard of it. I didn't even know that happened. At a high school in California, parents pay $55,300 a year for their kids to spend 6 weeks without cell phones, live in log cabins, and farm for their food. So they pay $55,000 for you to not have a cell phone, live in a log cabin, and farm for your food for 6 weeks. Who was that? Smokey the Bear? Smokey, didn't he used to say that? Only you can prevent forest fires. Farm for their food. So that sounds like a big fee for what they're getting in exchange. A restaurant chain, Smokey Robinson. Smokey Robinson is a singer. A restaurant chain is changing the name of its new Miso Lucky Bowl after people accused it of racism. So they're saying it's referring to a line where somebody says me so horny in a movie or something, and like, you know, it's making fun of, you know, Vietnamese people, Smokey the Bear. Frontier Airlines jet forced to make an emergency landing after mysterious odor fills cabin. So they fly in, they like, what's that smell? You know what the smell is? So they had to make an emergency landing. Frontier Airlines. That's like a American. I've never flown it, but I think it's like the equivalent of like a Spirit or something like that. T.I., our Atlanta freedom fighter rapper guy, is livid over latest incident at Atlanta restaurant. Challenges officer to do me like that. Now this restaurant is Houston's, and I think that before, wasn't like about 2 or 3 months ago, didn't T.I. say that he was going to be the ambassador to Houston's and make them less racist or something? Because didn't something happen at that restaurant before? I've never been to it. I like to look at menus. I've never looked at their menu. I'm not really familiar with it. But you know, I think the story is that the people, the young women or the women, the people went to the restaurant. The people are like, the restaurant is closed. They like, we gotta go to the bathroom. They went in the bathroom. 5-10 minutes later, they hadn't come out. Managers are coming one after the other. Y'all gotta leave. Y'all gotta leave. Y'all gotta leave, until finally they dragged them out into the bushes. And I don't know, you know, get out. I don't know what they did. So T.I. is upset. Black boy who faced racial bullying confronts school board. The Gambian village transformed by graffiti. It wasn't really graffiti. It looked like, do I think so? Hell no. No. I feel like not only should we not be trying to impose ourselves on places where they make it obvious that they don't want us. I think that I should only go to places where they're like, I love you, you're great, you're wonderful. Like if they ain't going out of their way to be like, I love you, I welcome you, I'm here for black people, woo, black people. I feel like, why am I spending my money with them? Especially in this context. Why am I giving them my energy? That's what my money is, my energy. So I feel like none of these corporations, my assumption is that all of these corporations are the same, just different variation. I mean, they all part of the same system. Prison without guards or weapons. Hey, Marlowe's Corner. I'm good. How you doing? I got a little headache from one of these stories. I don't know. Probably because I'm like, I don't have time to eat. I got a meeting. I need to be getting ready like right now. I know that I don't feel like I have time to eat. That's ridiculous. I have to get that in check. Sometimes I get like, you always have to have time to eat. I mean, you know. Sometimes you just try to do too much. Oh, that I have a headache. It'll probably go away. I think it was that story, but it could be that I'm hungry. Right. Have they ever not had white only signs? When we, after all of like when they reluctantly let us go into their restaurants as something other than servers and workers, did the just because the signs went down. That's funny because I don't really like bananas, but it was just like, oh, here's a banana, I could eat that. And I don't know about bandanas, but I kind of like that. I'm a bandito, banana dito. um, Not one black governor in 50 states. Georgia candidate Stacey Abrams wants to change that. So I think it's been two black governors so far in the history of this country. And of course, there are people, I would assume, of African descent who have been governors and president and all of that, even if you don't know that they, because if, yeah, you can't tell to look at, whatever. Some people are passing, they don't know they passing. Some people know they passing. So anyway, but somebody who's unambiguously, obviously black, out and whatever. Australian Bishop Philip Wilson guilty of concealing child abuse, um, sex charges. Oh, do I say you see? You see? No, I see a lot. I see dead people. I like that movie too, Sixth Sense. Did he say that in Sixth Sense? Um, a woman will lead the New York Stock Exchange for the first time in its 226-year history. Cuba plane crash. Grito Landrov becomes the 100. Lock his behind up. Becomes the 111th victim. So, we talking, there were people who were like fighting for their life the last time that I read any headlines on it. So I guess that one person has made, their transition. So I got a collection someplace that's probably just going to get thrown away because I got so much stuff all over the place. The Birkenab uprising, the Birkenab uprising, the Birkenab uprising. Y'all ever heard of the Birkenab uprising? Me either. Y'all heard of it? I ain't never heard of it. Okay, let's keep moving while that loads up. New Jersey school under fire for racist prom tickets. Party like it's 1776. And the black people are like, huh? And the NAACP is like, pardon me? And the white people are like, oh, we were insensitive. It's the same. We sorry. Serving as the president of Burkina Faso, Blaise Compaoré managed to hold on to his position in 1991, 1998, 2005, and 2010. It would be his final term when Compaoré pushed to change a 2000 amendment which limited terms and term lengths. He managed to stay in office since the amendment didn't take effect until the end of his term. As the 2015 election, this is recent, election neared, Compaoré would attempt to lift the term limits using another amendment. These actions and Parliament's inability to govern and reign Blaise Compaoré, my mouth is run tell that, especially among black women. Somebody's gonna be happy to hear that. People took to the streets with the intent of shutting down Parliament. This resulted in many essential services closing up, with brawls between the people of Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso, and law enforcement. Oh, so this was in Burkina Faso. We've gathered that already. The masses had their eyes on both the president's palace and the National Assembly building. They managed to storm the assembly and set fires to parts of the building. Law enforcement managed to hold the protesters at the presidential palace with rubber bullets. 3 deaths occurred when protesters managed to breach the home, resulting in guards firing on them. Ultimately, a media curfew was enforced. Okay. U.S. man keeps dog safely inside house he burgles. So he was like a burglar, and he went. I guess they got him on film. And so, he went in the house and he burgled the house, but he wouldn't let, like how Bella would be like, I'm getting out. He's like, stay in the house, dog. Like not like, like when people come to visit and your dog tries to escape. Bella never tries to escape, but other people's dogs, I know they try to escape, and then they'd be like, stay in the house. So the burglar was like, stay in the house, dog. Like it was, it was a good burglar. He was trying to not let the dog, run free, run wild or whatever. Texas GOP candidate admits he set up trust fund that encourages his kids to marry Caucasians. It also encourages his kids to marry from the complementary gender. So like if you a boy child, you marry a girl, you get more money. A girl child, if you a girl child, you marry a boy child, you get more money. Activist and attorney both allege a Texas trooper raped a woman pulled over for DUI. Tandy Newton gets slammed for saying she's the first dark-skinned actress in Star Wars franchise. So Lupita Nyong'o was in the Star Wars franchise, and it makes me wonder. Like, I wonder if they made her they covered her face up because she was too black to be seen in Star Wars. And now they had a light-skinned girl. They like, oh yeah, put your face up there, you cute. But Lupita, they like cover her up, put a paper bag on her, or a CGI, whatever. And she says, well, basically in wherever she's from, South Africa or whatever, we use, dark skin to mean not white. And, it's just all Americans who are all into that Aurora and Whoopi. Were they in the Star Wars franchise? You talking about Star Trek? Lieutenant Freedom, Uhuru. That's Star Trek. I don't know. I don't know if I get it. When she faces sideways, she disappears. Doctor who spiked girlfriend's tea with abortion drugs sent to, oh, she's skinny. Doctor, I'm not laughing at skinny people jokes. That's like when the comedian came out with her book, Skinny Girls Are Evil, or something. Skinny Bitches Are Evil. Doctor who spiked girlfriend's tea with abortion drugs sentenced to 3 years. So, I guess that, she was pregnant and he like, hey, had his tea, and she had an abortion, and they don't talk, they don't have a conversation, they don't come to an agreement. He just murdered the child. George Zimmerman claims he's penniless and requests a public defender. Idris Elba defends fiance's choice of #royal wedding attire. I don't know what she wore, but people said she was like Gucci up and Gucci down. Toni Braxton sparks plastic surgery rumors after sharing new photo. When I was in high school, I did a photo. I used to do all kinds of photographs and stuff, but there was like one group of photos and people were like, you look just like Toni Braxton. And I was like, I heard of Toni Braxton, but I don't think we look alike, but maybe in those particular shots. but I haven't had plastic surgery. Former NYPD detective sent 13 wrongfully convicted people to prison, but insists I've done nothing wrong. That's how some of these people feel, sincerely and deeply, like they haven't done anything wrong. So what? People went to jail who were, who I lied on and who were innocent. They was probably guilty of something. I don't care. I haven't done anything wrong. They did something wrong. They black. You see that black skin? What you looking at me for? Look at them. They the black ones. Miami parody featuring actress in blackface draws praise from Cuban audience. It's normal. So, a lot of people like to think, oh, Cuba is like, so progressive, although we know the Miami, my favorite news anchor. Yeah, somebody, Bonafide said yesterday, you should have a show on TV. I'm like, I do. It's called Not News on YouTube. Channel Be Fabulous You. I'm a news anchor. That's funny. But we know the Cubans in Miami tend to be way more, Americanized, white identified, moneyed, wealthy. It's the people who, were like, oh my gosh, we got to get out of Cuba because, whatever, they were not progressive. So, but they think that, blackface is normal and they like, oh, yeah, the interactive, it makes it better for everybody. It makes it better for me. I know that. Facebook board member called Modi's India dumb for rejecting free basics. Now India looks smart. So this Facebook board member was like, hey, Facebook is going to offer India free internet, but we get to decide what's on the internet, but it's going to be free. And then the Indian person was like, no, thank you. We don't want your colonialism. And then the board member is like, they're so dumb for not accepting free basics. And, now, of course, you look around and it's like Facebook is offering you something free. And we know what they're out here doing. And, I feel like just the offense, I don't know if like offense isn't really the word, but just like the cheekiness, the boldness to be like, you're dumb for not, like, it's like when people come to you with something free, like what are they really offering you? There's nothing wrong with, just because somebody wants to give you something for free does not mean it is for you, and right, you have to ask the question, who, what, why, when, where, how, like, why you want to give me something for free? What's in it for you? Trojan horse, right? We all know how the story ended. Free isn't necessarily good. Blacks don't have friends in America. We got each other. Who else we need? We the best. We do this. There's no such thing as a free lunch. So don't be busting into the lunch counter begging them to let you eat here. Tesla and Consumer Reports continue their feud following Model 3 review. Now, I used to like, when I lived in New York, I went to the Consumer Reports people, and they seemed like they were trying to run an honorable business. They didn't take ads. They were there testing the stuff, giving their honest opinion of the stuff, really trying to figure out, is this a good thing or not? And I've always been like, wow, kind of awed when I went to Consumer Reports. Like, this is really, sincere. So I usually, if I'm trying to get some information about a thing, I'll like go to Consumer Reports, like especially cars. I've done it in the past, and it's always been very reliable in my experience. So I guess Tesla is upset because maybe Consumer Reports is not going along with their propaganda, and Consumer Reports is like, we just gonna report what we find. We're not gonna report what you're trying to pay us to report. So I guess they have a feud. Hospital's mistake leads to Detroit mother being thrown in jail after son mistakenly tests positive for cocaine. Hawaii volcano, when your home's next to a lava flow, like, what do you do? Trump has been accused of going easy on authoritarian leaders. Here's why the White House says Venezuela is different. I don't know why they say, but I figure they're going after them oil reserves. We talked about that, right? I don't know, but it's something in it for him. It's something in it for him. After resorting to Tinder to make friends, this freelance journalist created her own meetup app for women and is blowing up. I think this issue, this conversation, we've been having it kind of low grade of like connecting with people in real life and building relationships with people in real life. It's a real thing. And I think it's like a societal, like, I don't know if crisis is really the word, but I feel like we have to, bad choice of words, we have to, I missed it. What were the bad choice of words? I want to get in on the joke. We have to prioritize, real life relationships with real people. I think, sometimes you can even get in the habit of like, just interacting with your device. Oh, you can interacting with your device instead of interacting with the real people in your life. Interact with real people. um, like we need like real human contact. Book, it's but we need people. Steve Harvey called out about failed marriages after offering relationship advice. Now, Steve Harvey, I'm not, but I feel like people, not him specifically, but in general, I don't feel like just because, just because I don't feel like just because someone has had failed marriage, like I feel like sometimes people learn from experience. So you know, now the way he treated his, he seemed kind of like a little janky to me, but that's a whole nother thing. A form, but I do think you do look at the source. I mean, I think it is a viable, valid question. I think it's a good conversation. Somebody could have been married for 40 years and in a skanky marriage. I mean, but keep it coming, keep it coming. Peace. Thanks for coming, Kendrick Lamar. A former Uber software engineer is suing the company for ignoring her claims that she was sexually harassed. Drug could prevent memory loss in deep space astronauts. I didn't even know that deep space astronauts experience memory loss. A monkey escaped an American Airlines flight in San Antonio. So they landed, and then after they landed, the monkey got away. I guess the monkey was like, I'm here, bye. Let me open up this cage and go on about my business. But they caught the monkey. Dangerous lava haze called Lays is rising in dramatic plumes around Hawaii. Here's what it looks like. Elon Musk said Tesla employees haven't unionized because they don't want to. I don't even understand the concept. One money don't stop that show. One monkey don't stop that show. I don't even understand the concept of like why experiencing memory loss is probably a good sign we shouldn't be there. LOL. Right? You traumatized. I don't remember nothing. I don't know. I don't remember. So I feel like if it's a group of like, it's always to the benefit of the workers to work together and have a relationship and share information, and so I don't, Elon Musk, I think that's some BS. Sweden is sending its citizens Cold War style instructions on what to do if crisis or war comes. So they're close to Russia. They think something might possibly be about to pop off. Excuse me. Kendrick Lamar halts performance after white fan drops N-word on stage. Now I saw the whole thing, like the video, and it seemed like it was a setup. Like, come on up stage. And then she was getting on my nerves. She was all like, what? I'm not cool enough for you. Like, it was just so many things that were so wrong with that whole situation. And then I just feel like I still really don't understand the concept of policing NIGGER. Like, I really don't. I mean, I feel like you can police yourself and just decide whether it's a word that you use or don't use. But I mean, white people can't use the word because if they use the word, then we gon' what we gonna do? Hey, astronaut, why are you 6 months late getting back to Earth? Forgot the directions. Haitians still outraged, refuse to stop protesting if there's no apology for Florida teacher who made racist comment. So the teacher said something like, there's the door right there. And I know on your little backwards island, y'all don't know how to use them, but this is how you use them, or something the person said. And so the Haitian people are like, oh no, we're not here for that. You need to apologize publicly so that the next person knows that that's not appropriate. They created the word. They had it first. Yeah, I only get upset when black people use the word with each other. I'm Haitian. We stand united. Haitians are my favorite people, other than, I mean, African American, but I love Haitians. I don't really know very many Haitians. But I love the idea, like what Haiti represents to me. Can't help what they do nor care, right? I mean, and then what you, right? I just, yeah, yeah. And it's like the songs, yeah, that whole thing. I'm just like, Venezuela election, 14 ambassadors recalled after Maduro win. I love all black people, not just Haitians. I love all black people, but I think that Haitians are like, I love them the most. Almost. I think I love it. I don't know. I start with me and then I move out. But when I move out, I jump over to Haiti. German news host blasted for racist royal wedding coverage. Are those dreadlocks? Turkey coup trial, court to jail 104 ex-military for life. They wanted to kill him, so they jailing him, putting him in jail for life. The stars may have formed much earlier. Oh, oh my God, it's 142. Well, if we knew it meant king and they knew it meant king, then how come we didn't realize that they were, how come we weren't like, yeah, that's right? Hmm? Maybe I'll get somebody to make a comment about me being a monkey since I'm eating a banana in public. Why aren't we self-conscious about eating bananas? We're self-conscious about fried chicken and watermelon. Why aren't we self-conscious about bananas? I don't know. It's one of the many mysteries of life. So that's it. That's what I got. They use the word behind closed doors anyway. Like I care. I feel like you don't have, like you could, the way they behave and treat us and their laws and rules, and we didn't realize because they were speaking in different language. So you got a whole theory. You got a story and you sticking to it. So what are you looking forward to today? I'm going to a press event. A baseball bat was created to play, but if it's used to bash people upside the head, what does the original use matter? Right. So what are you looking forward to? Cinetopia is coming. That's the film festival that I volunteer at every year. This is too deep. Message retracted. And so I'm doing the press event tonight. So I'm kind of excited because I've never done any of their press events. It's been a long time since I've done like yard stuff. So I'm sort of curious. Ooh, you have a hot date tonight. Look, this is what the universe is saying to you. Can you read it? Is it backwards? It says, when I lean toward love. Oh, not a hot date, a cold date. When I lean toward love, I am led. Let love lead you. Let love lead you. Let love lead you. Yeah, I should have a smoothie. I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. It's already so late and everything is just, it's like discombobulated. All right. So, anything other than the cool date? Anything that we're looking forward to? Ooh, that was slick. The Jim Crow Museum. Yes, I left a voicemail message for the woman at the museum. She got back to me. Peace and love. She got back to me. We're looking at doing a regional trip if you're in the area of the Midwest, a trip to the Jim Crow Museum. In July of 2018, the 14th or the 28th. It's a Saturday from noon to 5. The museum is open. So what I'm trying to figure out from her, I have to email her. She called me and said it's better to email her. I don't know why she didn't. You don't think the lynching museum is appropriate? Do you have a sense of how much time you need to spend in the museum? Because you're doing research, aren't you?
Fabulous you.
So, I think it was way too long yesterday. And it's so weird. It sounds like the
Who you gonna be if you ain't you? Who you gonna be if you
it's
ain't
distracting. I thought I could talk over
you?
it.
Gonna
I am the Jim Crow Museum.
ain't you. Be you.
You're doing research at the Jim Crow Museum. So my question is, it's open from 12 to 5, so I'm trying to figure out if is it the type of thing where, you know, basically like here in Detroit, at the Charles H. Wright Museum, the main exhibit, you could spend 3 or 4 hours in there. You know, it's like you start when you go, you know, it's like it's or you could like run through it in an hour, but you could spend a significant amount of time there. So is it like that type of thing where you could spend a significant amount of time there, or is it like even if you drag it out and you're doing research, you probably only need an hour and a half? That's what I'm trying to figure out. So I don't know. And I reached out to oh, I didn't know you were considering donating. Oh, yeah, I didn't know about that. Um, you should consider the Charles H. Wright Museum and you should get a membership. So my birthday is July 3rd. So starting June 3rd through August 3rd, this is the high holiday in celebration of my new year. I'm inviting everybody to get a membership at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History, the largest independent African American History Museum in the country. We celebrated 50 years, so I want y'all all to be members. So yeah, so then in terms of how did you get a birthday month? It's 2 months. I go from June, so the early part leading up into it is we start the celebration June 3rd all the way to July 3rd. That's like the height of the celebration. Woo! And then we start winding down, and by August 3rd, we'll be finished celebrating, sort of, kind of. But you know, it's a year long, it's a new year. So I will, in honor of your birth block. Birth block. Yeah, I don't know what that means, but birth block. I got that. Somebody told me that the Jewish people, that's their high holiday and low holiday or something. I don't know what I heard. And I'm like, oh, I think I'm going, what is it called when you steal something from somebody? Culturally appropriate that for my birthday. But I never did it. I think one year I was like, oh, and then I got like distracted by life. It's hard to spend a block of time. Yeah. It's hard to spend 2 months celebrating. Or it was when I tried to do it. So yeah, okay. So that's it. Today is the best day ever. You are the greatest. You are the number one stunner. So go on out into the world and be you and be fabulous and be fabulous you. And remember to lean toward love. Until next time. And that's like, you know, like all the kinds of love. You know, don't get distracted by, you know, the romance, you know, but like just follow your heart, your love, your God, your good, and all the other stuff. Well, you know, it's anything that's not love, just let it go. Great as usual. Love the positivism. 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 I like that word. Have I heard that before? Did you make that word up? Positivism. All right. Have a date and watch my best friend's wedding. Now, dates had you combined your dates with stuff? Like I like dates and bananas, dates and Brazil nuts, dates and cacao, but I like dates and bananas. A smoothie, just in a smoothie. You never eat the dates like just to eat them, because they have figs at the store. I'm kind of afraid to buy a fig, even though I have had fig Newtons. But I'm like, what if it doesn't taste good? I'm afraid. You sprinkle dates in salads? Do you cut them up? I like raisins in salads, and I like dried cranberries in salads. But I only buy dried cranberries if they're soaked in sugar, like the ones they sell at the store. I don't buy them. The craisins they call them, but you can get them at the health food store. Sometimes soaked in apple juice, they say, but you have to pay attention. But I really like cranberries on salads. I've never had a date. Oh, cut them to about the size of raisins. And I like apples on salad. Those are the only fruits. Apples, raisins. Yeah. That sounds wholesome. Yeah. I haven't had a salad in a while. Well, I mean, I had it at a restaurant, even though we were just talking the other day how unsafe it is to eat salads at restaurants. I heard it through the grapevine. All right, people. Go out and be blessed and be a blessing. Peace. Be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you.